Hello there. Welcome to what will be the first of hopefully a series of painting logs I want to upload to this channel. I wasn't sure whether it would be a good idea to put these on this channel or make a new one for them, considering what I normally post on here. But I decided that if I put my Kaiserreich videos and my other non-shitpost stuff on here, I could put these here too. So basically, for a while now, I've been watching the painting logs Wib from Snipe and Wib makes, and at the start of the year I realised that I could make these myself, and that plan seems to have motivated me to paint a lot more than I was painted before, so I think it's a good idea to try them. For anyone who doesn't know, the idea of these videos is that at the end of each month I will make a video logging how many models I've painted in that month. For me, it's mostly a motivational thing. If I know I'm going to have to make a video about it, I'll be motivated to paint more. But it's also just nice to show off what I've done, so here they are. The first thing I finished this year was the first 4 of these Stormcast Liberators. I actually painted the commander of the squad later in the month. This is a colour scheme for them that I came up with in December last year. And other than this squad, I have a squad of evocators and 1 random prosecutor painted in the same scheme. I'm sort of imagining that they come from a city that's built around a realm gate between Gur and Geran, the realm of beasts and the realm of life. But I think that might change if I think about it more. I kind of imagine their storm host as being kind of German inspired, but from a kind of older period than the Free Guild and stuff are. This was kind of because I listened to a bit of Wagner in the early part of January, and I really liked the idea of them living and fighting in places that looked like those old German Romance era paintings. I'm not a big art or classical music person, I don't really know a lot of it, but I was kind of sucked in by that specific style and wanted to use those influences in my ideas for this Stormhost. Also, I used a lot of orc skulls and a poxwalker skull to try and tie them into the realms that they're meant to be from a bit better. Also, I used my own method of painting gold for them. A base of Balthazar gold, then a layer of Retributor armor, then a wash of Reichland Flesh Shade and a highlight with Auric armor gold. I might add more steps on future models to make them a bit brighter, especially leaders and stuff. But other than that, I really like how it looks on these normal guys. Next I painted this head. It was a much quicker job than most of the other stuff I painted last month. It only took me 2 days start to finish. I got it in the Mortal Realms magazine like most of the Age of Sigmar stuff I have, and I decided to try and paint it in a nice simple way. I still haven't finished the statue that came in an earlier issue because I made the mistake of priming it with Grey Seer and then trying to paint it Wraithbone, 2 colours that aren't really far apart enough to make it worthwhile, but are far enough apart to make it easy to spot where I've missed a part. Maybe in future, if I decide to go back to it, it might turn up in a future one of these. But back to this model. I decided to glue a piece of cardboard from a box of easy build sequiturs I had to give it a nice bit of ground around it. I thought this would be a good idea to try and connect it to my Stormcast a bit better, and I think it turned out quite nicely. But part of it was just that I wanted an excuse to use those nice little yellow flower tufts. Next I painted these Necrons. I still had these around from the Indomitus box. I'd always kind of meant to sell the Necron stuff from it, but I never really got around to it. And now I have a scheme. I think I'm just going to make a little Necron army. I did these start to finish in 3 days. Essentially one night I was watching the Midwinter Minis video about speed painting Ultramarines, something that'll come up again in a minute, and I decided that I could take some of the ideas and use them for a Necron paint scheme, so I wrote one out. I did a test model first to check if it would work, and when it did, I got to work on the rest of them. I tried a bit of weathering on these, and I don't think it's super obvious, especially in the bright sunlight, but I do think they look sufficiently dusty. Also, another thing I did was paint the base frame a similar colour to the base itself. I've only ever painted them black before, and I was really pleased how the Baneblade brown worked on these. You can probably tell I liked it from the models I painted after this. Like this Nighthaunt test model. Like I said before, I've been collecting Mortal Realms for a while, and I'd never been able to settle on a colour scheme for Nighthaunt until I tried this. This one isn't actually from Mortal Realms, this is from the Soul Wars box, which I got for Christmas in 2019. Anyway, I thought of the idea of Nighthaunt from the realm of metal being metallic, like this. I really liked the idea of their twisting floaty movements causing the metal to scrape and clang against itself, and I also liked the idea of them having bolts of lightning and electricity bouncing off them like Tesla coils, although I don't know if Sigmar would DMCA them for using lightning magic like that, considering it's kind of his thing. It all seems like a very metal album cover type of look, honestly, and I thought it would look quite good. The base has some Balthazar and Auric armor gold dry brushed onto it, and the base rim is Wartblock bronze. The metal highlight is something I saw other people doing with Realm of Metal bases, and I thought it would look quite good here. I also did more edge highlighting than usual on these, because Nighthaunt models are kind of designed as if they expect you to do that, and I think it works really well on metal anyway. I really like Wartblock bronze with Hashut copper highlights as a combo, and I think it adds a kind of depth to the lower robes, which I like. Overall, I'm really pleased with this one, and I'll hopefully have more of them to show off in the next video. Lastly, I did this squad of Eradicators, also from the Indomitus box. For these I followed the same Midwinter Minis tutorial I mentioned earlier, although some of my colours are different and I took some liberties with the guns and stuff. I really like how these came out, and they only took a couple of days. The banner on the backpack of the Sergeant is actually a part I added myself, from a box of bits which came with a job lot of second-hand Space Marines I got ages ago. I pinned it, but I used a bit of paperclip that was a bit too long, so it's kind of loose, but it's not too bad though. You can still pick it up and stuff, and if it ever breaks off it shouldn't be too hard to reattach. I did the base rims to match the base again, this time with Tuskgore fur, which is supposedly the same colour as Martian Iron Crust, which is the texture paint I use for Ultramarines. And also, it was quite fun to pick out bits to use. The Necron Warriors sprue from Indomitus has alternate weapons and plenty of spare heads, so I now have a bunch of nice Necron-y bits for future Ultramarine bases. I'm especially pleased with the way the base on the guy to the Sergeant's left turned out. I really liked how the Necron arm fitted over the rock, and I think it was a good idea to let the basing dry brush go over those bits and the model's feet. Also, I used a little cable bit from the Imperial Guard heavy weapons sprue on the other guy. Looking at it now, I can see I kind of put the bits in the same place on each base, but I don't think that's so bad because there's not really a lot of room on there. So overall this month I've painted 23 whole models, which I'm pretty proud of. Hopefully next month I'll be back here again with a similar amount of models to show off.